Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. My guest today is Jill Dobson, a Troy alumnus and entertainment reporter, here to talk a little about her career. And I want to thank you for joining us here today. So
thank you. I'm so glad to be here. The studio is amazing.
Back in the studio. And things have changed a little bit since you were here as a student. But obviously, I mentioned there, entertainment reporter. You've done a lot of work. This interview right here is probably a little tamer compared to some of the things you do on a regular basis. But give us a little bit about what you do today and what you're doing out there in the professional world. So
right now I have my dream job, but it took a long time to get here. A lot of toiling away in local news for sure. But these days I interview celebrities on the red carpet or do sit-down interviews. Usually when a new film is coming out, I'll interview the actors in it. So it's pretty great. I've gotten to talk to a lot of people who I'm fans of, and I really enjoy it.
And that long road to get to become an entertainment reporter where you're sitting down and doing interviews with A-list celebrities in Hollywood, but it was a grind to get there. A lot of people, they want to be where you are, but that's part of the process. Is it took you a while to get where you are today. So.
It did. I highly recommend getting hands-on experience in whatever your chosen field is. In the journalism field, if you're a student at Troy and can come to TrojanVision and work here, I highly recommend it. I spent a lot of time working at the Metropolitan. I was a print major at first and didn't spend as much time here. Then later, when I went out in the field, I felt that effect and ended up going to grad school in part so that I could have another opportunity to intern at TV stations and get more hands-on experience. So I really missed out by not spending more time in this studio working. And I think in other fields that applies as well. If you can get to actually have some sort of part-time job in your chosen field and learn it, it goes along hand in hand with what you're learning in the classroom.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that we tell a lot to the students here, but you give a perfect example of that working your way up the ladder. And you've had a lot of different little jobs to get to where you are. It just doesn't magically happen. You're not just get a degree and then you're sitting down and you're interviewing an Oscar winner. So.
No, in fact, when I was a student at Troy, I interned in public relations and determined that that was not the field for me. And when I went to grad school later, I interned again in TV, and having that interning experience was really helpful to me. I ended up working at the TV station. It was a CBS affiliate in Lansing, Michigan. I turned my internship into an on-air job, and then also interned at Fox News Channel in New York and turned that later into a job. Stayed in touch with everyone, and a few years later when I was ready, ended up back there. So each of my internships directly led to a job at that same place. So I highly recommend internships.
And let's talk a little bit about what you do nowadays, because a lot of people, when they see these interviews with celebrities, and they don't know a lot about what goes on behind the scenes. And I'm particularly fascinated because I know one of the big things is press junkets, and it's kind of a thing where a lot of people don't realize that when you're interviewing, let's say like a Ben Affleck, you're probably like the 10th or 11th person to interview him that day, right?
Yes, or 23rd or 24th. Yes, so at a junket, it's basically a hotel room that they've decorated and adjust the lights and made it so it looks like a TV set basically by the time they get done in there. And they just have one journalist after another go in and talk to the celebrity and go back out. And there's really no time. Even with Ben Affleck, I usually have one little warm-up hello that I'm ready to say. I didn't even have time for that because the makeup artist stood between us and powdered his forehead really fast and then walked away. And they're like, "You're rolling." So I didn't even say, "Hi, how are you?" I just was like, "So your latest film has a lot of action involved. How did you enjoy working on this set?" So it's a very fast-paced world, and you've got to pretend to be intimate with the person who you haven't even said hello to yet.
And your job right now, you're doing some freelance work with Associated Press, and it's even though you've worked with a network in the past and TV stations in the past, it's kind of a different animal there doing this kind of work, but it provides some good opportunities for you, though. So.
It does, yes. I worked in 24-hour news. I was at Fox News Channel at one point, and that for me wasn't a perfect fit because I'd be pitching entertainment stories and they'd be like, "Yes, you're an entertainment reporter, but we're not going to do any entertainment stories today." So I spent a lot of time in my office coming up with pitches, but wasn't really on air as much. Now I have a job where I'm freelance and I'm on air regularly and getting to do celebrity interviews. So it took a long time, but I've eventually found the perfect fit for me.
That fit, and in that regard, working for Associated Press, I mean, how's it? They just maybe call you up and say, "Hey, we're going to send you to Hollywood this week, and we need you to interview this person, that person." You're like, "Sure, okay, I'm down."
They do. It's a lot of that. I talk to the celebrities. I'm based in New York City, and when they come to New York, I speak to them, and it's pretty fun. I never know who it's going to be or what it's going to be, but my next interview is tomorrow from the cast of Big Little Lies. I'll be talking to one of the actresses, Shailene Woodley. So I said, "Are you sending me advanced episodes so I can study?" Unfortunately, they're only going to send me a few clips, so I can't give you any scoop.
You can't, no
this
scoop
time.
or no spoilers at this point.
No, which is unusual. Normally, I watch the film or watch the show in advance before the interview. So
added benefit
prepare
of
as
being
much
in the
as you
business
can.
there.
Yes.
So, we want to thank you for joining us here and give us a little background from your transition from Troy University to the world of entertainment journalism. Thanks for joining us here today and sharing a little bit about your life. So,
thank you. Go Trojans.
Go Trojans. And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.